Just recently, I did a video interview with my friend Ron Ferlito. I've known Ron for about 30 years. He's an incredibly talented musician. And as we talked, one of the things I asked him toward the end was, Ron, you've done this for a long time. If you could go back and tell your younger self anything, what would it be? And he had a pretty quick answer. Take a look.
This is it. The number one thing I wish I would tell my 20-something self is, don't forget, there's a lot more music out there except Christian worship music. And I think I was a little too strict with myself about, oh, God has called me and I'm just, and I think, there's so much to leading worship and in music. If you're called and you're talented with music, that does, you can't use all of your music in worship leading. And I think a lot of issues are created because people are trying to get artistically fulfilled through their worship leading. Good worship music is pretty simple by nature. If it's too complex, people can't sing and they can't worship. Good, it's not going to give you a chance to shine and so forth. So you might end up being frustrated and you might end up having some things under the surface that could just be solved if you had another outlet. And, then you can go out and, influence people like I do now. My primary performances is in private parties and, I'm playing all kinds of music, pop music of the day and today and classic rock of the past and old time stuff. But that's, maybe you have original music and it doesn't necessarily have to be worship style music. It can still reflect a worldview of God and so forth. So that's the number one thing, because I feel like overall, being called as a career to music, I hindered myself by limiting in the earlier days. I had some opportunities that I intentionally left that I know have affected me professionally and also financially for most of my life. And it's kind of a regret, but I'm working through it.
I know for some people, this is going to be a little bit stretching. Some people, that's all you'll ever listen to is worship music. Totally get that if that's what you want to do. But for somebody who is really, really talented, really, God has given you a musical ability that's beyond the norm, and you're cultivating that and working at it, I'm going to agree with Ron. Look at some other music. Stretch yourself. Look beyond what you've done, just that particular genre, because, as he said, worship music by design almost has to be at least somewhat simple in order for the congregation to jump in and work with it and be involved with what's going on. So if you want to really utilize your musical abilities, you're going to have to do something else besides that. And so I want to challenge you to consider looking at other musical options and how those things could affect you as a musician. So don't just stop right where you're at. Keep pushing yourself, especially if you've really got that ability, that strong musical gift that's different than the average person.
Brought to you by myworshipleadingcoach.com.
Helping you to be more fully equipped as a worship leader.